Top 10 Most Aggressive Countries in the World. The Global Peace Index report is something that is put out by the Institute for Economics and Peace on an annual basis. This study is the only one of its kind and is the only one of its kind that rates how dangerous or safe a nation is based on 23 distinct factors, some of which include political terror, deaths from internal strife, and murder rate. In this video we will talk about top 10 most aggressive countries in the world. The Global Peace Index analyses the population of 163 countries, which together make up more than 99.7% of the entire population of the world. The aspects of the situation that were looked at for this report can be broken down into three distinct categories: safety and security, ongoing conflict, and militarization. Number 10, Libya. The traveler assumes all risks associated with travel to, from, and within Libya. The local security situation is precarious and has a high potential for rapidly deteriorating into serious violence and conflicts without any prior warning. Purchasing travel insurance and double-checking that it offers adequate coverage is more vital than it has ever been. Air travel in Libya is subject to substantial dangers as a result of military battles and inter-militia warfare. It has resulted in the temporary suspension or closure of airport operations on multiple occasions. Every airport is susceptible to some kind of attack. Artillery fire has been directed at Midiga Airport, which is Tripoli's only civilian airport that is still operational regularly. Number 9, Ukraine. The state of national security over the entirety of Ukraine is still precarious. Citizens of the United States who are currently residing in Ukraine are urged to maintain a heightened state of vigilance and take the necessary precautions to improve their security awareness. Find out where the nearest safe spot or refuge is and memorize its location. In the case that mortar or rocket fire is coming your way, immediately seek shelter and follow the directions given to you by the local authorities. If you believe that your current location does not provide an adequate level of safety, you should carefully consider the potential dangers that could be entailed in transferring to a new site. There are persistent claims that Russian forces and its proxies are targeting American nationals in Ukraine for imprisonment, interrogation, or harassment because their nationality is American. When evacuating by land through Russia-occupied territory or when traveling to Russia or Belarus, U.S. citizens have also been singled out for special treatment. Number 8, Somalia. To tell you the truth, I spend a lot of time in caves in Afghanistan. But there was no place on earth where I was more terrified than I was in modern-day Somalia, where it is possible to be kidnapped or shot in the head before you have a chance to wipe the perspiration off your brow. The thick, perfect for ambush swamps that surround Kismayo in the south, the lethal maze that is Mogadishu, and the pirate nest that is Bosaso on the Gulf of Aden make Somalia quite simply the most dangerous place on the face of the earth. The entirety of the nation has evolved into a fertile breeding ground for warlords, pirates, kidnappers, bomb manufacturers, fanatical Islamist militants, freelance gunmen, and restless, angry youth who lack education and have access to an excessive amount of ammunition. By the way, there is no green zone or other fortified location of last resort to go to if you, God forbid, get harmed or find yourself in difficulties here. You are completely responsible for yourself in Somalia. The local hospitals are running dangerously low on gauze and are barely able to treat all of the wounds. Number 7. Iraq. Iraq is still beset by internal and external problems, including the threat of terrorist attacks, which are expected to persist. ISIS is continuing to kidnap and execute members of the Iraqi security forces as well as members of the civilian population. Other breaches of human rights, such as those against the right to freedom of assembly and the rights of women, have also been allowed to continue. Citizens of the United States who travel to Iraq run an especially high danger of being victims of violence and kidnapping because anti-American sectarian groups throughout Iraq view them as desirable targets. Number 6. DR Congo. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is not only the second most hazardous country in sub-Saharan Africa, but it also ranks among the top 3 in the category of deaths from external violence, along with Russia and Iraq. Poverty and political turmoil are both common occurrences in this region, and rebels and armed forces are free to roam particular areas as they see fit. A variety of serious crimes such as homicide, rape, kidnapping, carjacking, burglary, mugging, and highway robbery are committed regularly. Even the occurrence of natural calamities such as earthquakes, floods, and volcanic eruptions should be cause for concern. Number 5. South Sudan, Sudan. South Sudan, which is located in sub-Saharan Africa, is the region's least peaceful country because of its high level of internal strife. From the 2021 GPI to the 2022 GPI, the country experienced an overall safety improvement, with a notable decrease in both the number of deaths from internal conflict, a 15% reduction, and the overall homicide rate, which is the country's lowest since 2011. Even though the country is still violently dangerous, the country has experienced an overall safety improvement. Number 4. Russia. Even though the majority of the hostilities in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine are taking place in Ukraine, Russia was regarded as the more dangerous of the two countries. This is partially attributable to the fact that casualties sustained by Russian armed forces in Ukraine are factored into Russia's overall threat level. It is also partially attributable to pre-existing economic strains and an authoritative government that is frequently and visibly hostile to its populace. In addition, trade embargoes and other international limitations placed on Russia have hampered the country's economy and food commerce, making life more difficult for the Russian people. However, it is also important to note that the 2022 GPI report only covered the commencement of the Russo-Ukrainian War. This is something that should be kept in mind. The assessment in 2023 may probably identify Ukraine as the more risky country of the two. Regardless of the relative positions of the two countries, the war that Russia fought with Ukraine had repercussions that were felt all over the world, particularly in the areas of energy and food scarcity. It is anticipated that these repercussions will continue to reverberate through the report in 2023 and beyond, leading to increases in metrics such as food insecurity, military expenditures, and political instability. Number 3. Syria. Since March 2011, the country of Syria has been racked by a civil war, which has become the second deadliest conflict of the 21st century. As of the beginning of March 2019, there were 5.7 million individuals who had left Syria, and there were over 6 million people who had been displaced within Syria. The continuous conflict, civil unrest, and widespread violent crime in Syria, such as robberies, assaults, carjackings, and kidnappings, are likely to blame for the country's GPI in 2022, which is 3.356. Outside of the nation's capital of Juba, there is very little to no rule of law or order in existence, and most of the armed fighting that takes place is between the government and opposition organizations. Number 2. Yemen. According to the United Nations, the humanitarian situation in Yemen is currently the worst it has ever been anywhere in the world. Because of an ongoing military battle that has been going on for more than 5 years, 4.3 million people have been forced to abandon their homes, and 14 million people are in danger of malnutrition and disease that can be fatal. It is estimated that over 80% of Yemen's population, or 24 million people, is in critical need of humanitarian assistance. Number 1. Afghanistan. Despite receiving a score of 3.554 in 2022, which is a little bit lower than its score of 3.631 in 2021, Afghanistan continues to hold the title of the most hazardous country in the world for the 5th year in a row. Afghanistan is a war-torn country that has been mired in war, revolution, and civil strife for decades. Despite this, Afghanistan has the highest number of deaths from war and terrorism of any country in the world. This is an impressive accomplishment considering that Russia and Ukraine were actually at war for several months during the time that the data was being collected. The end of this video comes up at this point. Do you find it helpful for you? Post your feedback in our comment section.